6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Live from the Rob Christensen Radio Network Satellite Studio, it's Jim and Rob Overanalyze the Movies. Well, hello, everybody, and this is Rob, and welcome to Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies, the movie live stream / podcast for movie lovers who love to talk about movies as much as they love watching them. And today we are going to be talking about, this morning, because we have a special treat for you. This morning, we're going to be looking at the 2015 German film Victoria. It is about, where are we here? Oh, yes. It's about 4 local Berliners who recruit a thrill-seeking Spanish woman to be their getaway driver for a bank robbery. Here's the trailer.
I don't speak German.
What you doing now?
I'm leaving.
Irgendwann gehört der Club uns. What's your name?
Victoria.
I'm Sonne, nice to meet you. That's Boxer. That's Blinker.
Berlin. You're Berlin guys then.
I show you our world.
Are you stealing? You touch my ass. Say sorry.
I saw it's
With a heart.
sorry. Servus, Digga. Immer so. Nein, Digga, chill mal rein. Have to do Boxer a favor.
It's something bad to do. Boxer! The car is not going on! The car is not going on! I want to go with you.
Was ist denn das für eine Scheiße? Sprichst du kein Deutsch?
Don't think I'm a bad guy, okay? Mann! Boxer, was ist das für eine Scheiße, Mann? Hey, Nobody talks in Germany in the elevator. It's forbidden.
I'm gonna break the rules. I'm gonna break the rules. I'm glad to be here in Berlin.
Intense. Anyway, before we get into the show proper, let's get through my ideological ingredients list. Does this pass the Bechdel test? Nope. Would it earn a reframe stamp? No. Is it class conscious? Maybe. Something worthy of discussion. Is there any class analysis to speak of? No, but I'm willing to cut it some slack on that one, and we'll get into that in the chat. And speaking of which, chat, discussing, etc. Let's give a let me cue up the applause, everybody. Let's give a warm welcome to my getaway driver, my co-host with the most, Mr. Jim Chaboyko.
I'm the girl? Just kidding.
She seemed pretty cool. What's your problem?
Yeah, no, I guess so. I'll be the Spanish chick.
What a terrible...
Who spoiler alert, and this is the spoiler zone, emerges, I guess, victorious? I don't know. Anyway, hi.
Yeah, way to jump right in there. Okay, as Jim said, we are in the spoiler zone, but we've got a couple of other items. Listen, first of all, it looks like we got a couple of regulars, Jim, in the chat. Let's say hello to. Well, first of all, let's give a big wave for Shashank. And Shashank, he's having a family get-together later today, but as always, he pops in. He does catch up. We'll get your thoughts on this later, Shashank. I hope you enjoyed it. And then we got, Ahmed from Kuwait. And then, somebody's sad. That's your fault, Jim. I'm putting that on you. I don't know. I don't know. You know what? It's not his first rodeo, so I have no doubt. So, okay. All right. Now, of course, we're talking about what really is a heist movie. And you can't have a heist movie, I don't think, Jim, without a crew. With that in mind, we do have a couple of special guests with us, special guests from Germany who actually recommended this film. I want everyone to give a warm welcome to Mara.
Everybody.
Hello.
Hello, Mara. Hello, Janosch.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Jim.
Hi, guys.
Listen, you guys, for those who aren't aware, I know, Janosch, I met you and your whole family actually in London, of all places, 10 years ago now.
Yeah, it was
2010, wasn't it?
No, 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and then a few years later, and this I believe was 2012, I met you, Mara, with Janosch in a bar in London again. Because that's where you meet all Germans, Jim. London. They're all just in London. Since then, I've been very fortunate to visit with their families in Darmstadt and thereabouts, where I've received a very detailed tour of the best beer in every square block. You know.
Exactly.
Exactly. Always the best. This is the best beer here. Guys, you guys recommended this movie. Why don't you give us a little taste of it and why you thought this is a great movie for our several viewers?
Yeah, we just think it's a good, first of all, it's a German movie, so and for me, it's pretty hard to find really good German movies, and this one also has a lot of movie awards, and it's a one-take film, so that makes it really interesting, and it's really so you see this movie plays in Berlin, and you get to know Berlin really good through this movie and the whole night scene and everything. So, yeah.
What about you, Mara? What was one of the highlights of this film for you? Like, what one of the reasons you thought, yeah, you got to see this?
Yeah, like Janosch already said, it's a really good German movie. It's hard to find a really good, in my opinion, it's really hard to find a good German movie. So that was one movie that inspired us in a way. And it is like Janosch already said, you get to know the Berlin life. So
and it's because it's a one-take movie, you're in the movie, so it makes it more you can't stop watching, and that's a really good point in this movie. So
I couldn't agree with you guys more. That sometimes you see that one take and it's, I don't know about you, Jim, but sometimes I feel it's like a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and here I didn't feel gimmick. You know, I thought it really was effective in its ability to kind of hold you. And I think we got one more person that maybe not only do we have to say hello to, Mr. Richard Lennon and Katie, of course. Let's give a big wave. Ha!
Oh, good. Wow.
And yes, we got a full wave, a whole circle going on there for you, Richard. Why? Because it's Richard's birthday. So I think we all should wish happy birthday to Richard, and hope
happy birthday, Richard.
Yes.
Look at that, Richard. We arranged it from Germany. And by arranged, I mean Facebook told Jim, who told us 5 minutes before the show started.
You can't have too many Scorpios. Yes.
Okay, so why don't we, Jim? Why don't you start us off? What did you think? Give us your thoughts. Give us your hot takes.
This was the worst first date ever. Because it's a first date, really. I mean, it's when you think about it, even though they just sort of fell into it, I was just like, oh my God, there was death and there was this and there was that. No, it was, it's interesting because of the one take aspect of it. Even though it was one take, I don't feel that they kept on hammering it home. I think it was more, it came across to me more as an experiment for the filmmakers to try to do. And if you read about the film itself, they actually did, I think they did 3 takes. And the first one was too cautious. And the second one was a little over the top. And the third one was, as the fairy tale says, just right. So, yeah, I mean, I can't, this is the product of, I think, people in their 20s. Like, I can't imagine the stress and the highs and the lows. Even watching that trailer, you saw the dynamism of the emotions, the laughter and the giddiness, and then the opposite of that, the terror and the sadness. And man, that's like 2.5 hours. I would need a week to recover from that, I think. But it was, so getting into it, and in establishing the characters, I guess, the first act, I was wondering where it was going to go. And then once Sonnen and Victoria ended up in the cafe by themselves, and then they started to give a little bit of context to their lives, I thought, okay. And it really took off from there. The first half an hour, 40 minutes is pretty loose. It's just them sort of cavorting around downtown Berlin. And then it really sort of gets into a groove and then just shoots right on to the end. So, and it was a hearty, this wasn't some 90-minute or 80-minute experiment. It was 2 hours plus. And, wow, you have to have your ducks in a row for that. So, and I woke up this morning thinking about it. So that's a good sign. Whenever you're sort of still processing it the morning after, that's always a good sign. So, yeah.
Great. You hit on a couple of points I wanted to talk about, Jim. But first, we do have a chat from Twitch, because we're also playing to Twitch. And I don't know. Anybody want to become famous?
Yeah.
Look, it's an opportunity.
There's a lot of weird accents on that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's go back to Mara and Janosch. When you first saw it, like, did you guys rewatch it?
Not
before
yet.
The show? You haven't, eh? When did you?
Some little before the show, yeah. Some little, some little scenes from the movie.
Gotcha.
And we read about it also, but
just to kind of refresh your memory.
Yeah. But when I think about it, I know exactly every scene. So it's also a good sign for a movie when you remember it. And we watched it like months ago. So
Absolutely. So thinking back to when you first saw it, as best as you can, what were those first thoughts? What were you think about when you think about this movie? Your reactions afterwards?
I thought it's the night scene of Berlin is like the movie for me.
it could really be like that in real life.
Really yeah, of course it's not for everybody, but it's, when they go to the Späti, we say in German. Späti, it's like an
Liquor store. They have
liquor
open
store.
late night.
Yeah.
Late night liquor store.
Where Farouk's shop.
Farouk.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, of course, no worries. And it's really, this is for me Berlin. these.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well-
when you go after a club, when you go there for some more beers or
And some
Especially-
peanuts.
yeah.
Also, what Jim said was really good, because like the first 30 minutes, you don't know which direction will the movie take on, and in the cafe where they sit, it's like the turning point of the movie, and from there on, it's just you can't stop watching, and it's a shocking end. So after the movie, we were like, wow, what did we just watch? And
I don't know about you guys, but one of the things I found really impressive was they really, like, at the first act, you can, and this may be the middle-aged white man, it's just, don't go with them.
Yeah.
There's going to be a sexual assault. Like, you just think of the worst possibilities.
Yeah.
But then they have, and you're absolutely right. That's the first act hook is that wonderful little moment they have with the piano and everything. And then he leaves, and you're like, he's not an asshole. He's not a lowlife. Well, he's sketchy as all heck, but he's not a lowlife. I want to bring a quick comment in from Richard, just because it kind of hooks into what one of my reasons I was so impressed with this film. Richard's absolutely right. You know what? The single take, you can't compress time. Not a scene still wasted. And given that you have to travel with these folks, you do have to move with them, because it's all one take, and that's usually the stuff that first has got to get cut, so you're not wasting time. Just that they were able to, even the movement gives you either a little tension break, when on the bicycle and they kind of travel off, or whatever. Just so well done. What else did Richard say here? Film's 2 hours felt like H, which seemed
that's
to,
what I think also.
like, all night.
So long.
Well, now, long in a good way or a bad way? Like, I'm assuming. Oh, yeah. Go
I
ahead.
think when a movie is, or when a movie feels long, or you can watch it a long time, it speaks for the movie. So for me, it's good.
Yeah.
But I get his point. So.
Well, I'm kind of, Richard, you'll have to chime in again. Like, do you mean that in a bad way or a good way? It did feel like, wow, we went through something,
Yeah.
But we'll wait till Richard chimes in. For myself, you miss all those cuts that kind of move things along, that give it speed. But it most of the time it's actually, because as they get to the dramatic point, when you're like, oh, this is bad. You actually, or at least I felt like, oh, I want this to slow down. I don't want them, like, you're almost like on a roller coaster. It's tick, 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 tick. And then and you feel like you're in free fall. I was really, really impressed. Again, thank you guys for recommending this movie.
Yeah. It's also when you played the trailer, I was kind of brought back into the movie, and I think it's funny because actually I feel so unwell watching this movie because of the atmosphere and everything. But you can't stop watching. So it's crazy. Normally I would just turn it off, but you can't.
Yeah. You're well, and I think that is the power of the single take. There's you're not given in a cut. You're given a bit of an eye break in a way. It's like, we're moving. That's done. I'm here now. Here you're locked in. And I don't know about you, Jim. I was wondering what you thought about the cinematography. For me, I was impressed on two levels. One was that a lot of intense close up, but never full on the eyes. Like, not your Hollywood close up where it's where it's just, here. Look at the tear. It very much, but very tight and almost claustrophobic, almost. Also, the other thing was, and it'd be interesting hearing what you guys think, and especially you, Mara, as a young woman. I don't think I once thought of the male gaze. Like, she's never objectified except verbally, like in that when they meet the real gangsters, which in a way is to her benefit later because she's the one person no one's thinking of.
Yeah.
Like she is the insert expletive here, but at the same time, never objectified. I don't know though, Mara, did you feel that classic male gaze when you're watching this as a young woman? Or are you kind of going, no, she's a woman, but she's, I don't know. I'm not articulating that as well as I could.
Did it feel the phrase that, and this is a little bit crude, but the phrase that my wife and I use all the time is, it feels rapey. Like there's about to be a sexual, something bad happening. And I didn't quite get that when they were all together in that initial group. And it wasn't until they met the real gangsters in the parkade that it got a little bit like she stays with us. And I thought, ugh. But they didn't, that didn't, it didn't seem to come up when she was with the four guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mara?
What do you
Mara,
mean by
speak for all women.
Just a
Actually,
quick question
Katie's
of what
probably
you mean
around.
by, what do you mean by male gaze?
Okay. So the male gaze is probably a did you guys see the Transformers, the first one?
I think so, yeah, but it was a long time ago.
Megan Fox. You see in a lot of these movies where the woman is there's always, they'll do a tilt shot where we see the whole body. It will in a dance scene. It almost always starts, you get a big wide shot and then you zoom in. And if it's a girl, it's almost always, just to give the sense of the vibe, but it's at ass level, like where it's just, we're seeing body parts before we see. Whereas here, it starts on her, but like in that kind of claustrophobic close up where most of the time she's just fucking around with her hair, trying to get it up, but you don't feel like the camera's creeping on her. Maybe that's it's not the that male gaze that he's checking me out. In the male gaze, as far as a film criticism, it's you're using the camera so as a creep, let's look at the girl. Oh, it's for film, baby. That's what we mean.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean by it. Jim, you have any clarifiers on that?
Good. Yeah, just the camera as creepy guy, basically.
Yeah, it's I don't know how to say it, but it's not that she's in focus, right? That she's only the woman with the guys, and you never think that she is the main attraction. Is that what you mean?
I think so. I think we're talking about the same thing. And also that, like, the movie is about her. She is the hero. But she's not the Baby Driver. This is what I was thinking. This movie in some ways is Baby Driver. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Jim, have you actually, we might have seen it in the theater together. Yeah. Oh, yes. So yeah.
Back when they had movie theaters.
Yeah. In Baby Driver, Lily James, her role is very much the pretty girl who the driver, like a Baby Driver, the lead is interested in, but she's very much almost a stock character. This movie is as though you shot Baby Driver from the woman's perspective, so she has agency throughout the entire thing. And unlike Baby Driver, where Lily James' character, who's a name I can't even remember, it's very focused on how sweet and innocent she is. Here, but still super pretty, very attractive, and again, the butt shot, shot from the, you don't feel that here. She's not the main attraction,
I know.
like
I
an
know what you mean
object.
now.
Okay,
Now
does that?
I know what you
She's
mean.
not an object. She's
It's in other movies, all the you feel like the woman's attraction, and every man wants this woman in the movie, so to say. And here it's you can imagine that that the one guy is tries to do something with her, everything, but not really. So
Yeah, he's very
they do it
actually
really
like.
good, yeah.
They're actually kind of two normal people who met in a bar, had a nice night.
Yeah.
She's like, he's like, he leaves. I'll call ya, like a normal person.
Yeah.
You know,
Or he
and then
was
of course,
a little bit flirty, but
yeah,
not that much so.
yeah, not creepy in any way.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to catch up on some of the comments here. Ahmed, not one jump cut, not like, I mean, you can see. I suspect in production they would use sometimes the movement of the camera to take a moment, because you can hide a cut in a swish pan, but yeah, not one cut, it's a take. Apparently he's the Twitch user, but maybe not the Twitch user. And Jelly Duck, that's awesome, you're watching on Twitch. I need those statistics. But I don't believe you're the Twitch user that was offering to help us get famous. Okay, Richard, notice cities scenes are always close range. Yeah, they keep a tight focus. No big landscapes. Yeah, it very much, even when they're on the rooftop. Okay, so now Katie comments on male gaze subject to interpretation. Katie, you know what? Elaborate on that when you have the chance in the chat, so we know what you mean. Me, I'm coming at it more from a formal film criticism kind of. Hey, this is as an academic would think of it, because I play one on YouTube. Okay, and then it's actually Ahmed. It's actually all one take, or it's as though it's one take. Think like 1917, one dramatic take. 2 hours and 20 minutes of the film. All right, what was one of the actually Janosch? It was interesting. You talk about that turning moment in the film. They have the nice date. The movie could have ended right there. He left. Although I'd almost say that real magic moment was when she invites him in. Says, well, you could come in for a coffee, a cocoa. How did he pronounce it?
Cow. Was it CAO on the
Cacao.
Cacao. Thank you. But we're talking, so a chocolate.
Hot chocolate, basically.
Hot chocolate. Yeah. Gotcha. Now I feel like I'm at the hockey rink. Watching you play and then going in and having coffee. Where the heck was I going with this?
The turning point.
Turning point.
Yeah.
That
Meeting
was
at
one of the
cafe.
great things about this film. At every major beat, it's clear that it turns. Like they have that, he leaves, then he comes back, but you kind of feel like she's in it already. It really was so well, or at least I felt that way. Like you recognize the turning point, unlike the last movie we looked at, Jim, Vampires versus the Bronx, where I'm like, well, I guess we're out of the first act.
Mm. Yeah.
It just kind of ambles along, and then it sort of falls through the ending. My mark is going down to a C already as I forget about it. I won't forget about this movie. This is like wild in the wild. Like, what about you guys? What were some of the other key turning points that you thought, yeah, this is clear and emotional?
I'll chime in for a sec. I think what I liked about it was it wasn't just the one take without treatments. Like occasionally, and this happened, I think, twice in the movie. And it's really interesting how this movie uses music, but it happened twice. And the first one was about 20 or 25 minutes in. And I think they're somehow back in the club, or anyway, there's a where the sound fades and another piece of music comes up, like a piano, sort of very poignant.
Oh, it was after the robbery.
Yeah, that happened, and then there was an early one too, and I just can't remember.
I think it was the first scene, like
it might have been.
Yeah,
and it was sort of like all the external sound faded, and this nice sort of gentle but kind of sad piano music came up, and I thought that's kind of an interesting treatment. But if you think about this, it starts with the club music, and then 20 minutes in they have this sort of little etude or whatever, the piano piece, and then she's playing the Mephisto waltz 20 minutes later, and then there's a couple other uses of music.
No subtext there.
Yeah, exactly.
No foreshadowing there.
Yeah. Now I think it's inevitable that one of us mentions "Run Lola Run," and technically not a similar movie, but thematically sort of similar. I watched the trailer for that because I'd seen it a couple times before, and it's all just like like it's very it's basically dance music, right? The whole time, I think, if I remember correctly. But the use of music to me was, once that first period, I'll have to go back and look, but once that first instance of that use of that music came up, I thought, okay, this is kind of a different treatment, but that was kind of an interesting part for me anyway.
I agree. I think also on the second treatment, after the robbery, when they were high on cocaine and everything in the club and celebrating that they made the robbery, I think also
ditching
when the
Buddy
piano came up, they it was slow motion, but I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah.
Was it in slow-mo?
I remember it as being. I don't know if it was or not.
Okay. I'm wondering if it was more that they got the music is the thing that made you feel like that. As they're getting as they're getting pushed out of the club, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
it's like it's time to go.
But I think, on the piano scene it was slow-mo, but I'm not sure anymore because it would speak against the one take aspect. So
Katie has come in on, and I'll read the whole comment because not all of it will fit on the screen. Katie obviously is familiar with tvtropes.com, one of the best websites if you're digging up for, hey, I think I've seen this gag before. Anyway, it has that baby it's cold outside syndrome. She declares her intention to leave the group more than once to get some sleep, and they, Sana in particular, would keep pleading with her to stay. I'm not and then Richard's got a couple of comments related to something else. I'm not Katie, I'm not sure. Like I kind of agree with you on this. I think that's the right trope. Although I do find her the kind of a half-hearted. I'm not. I felt the character. It wasn't. I gotta go. It's like, no, come, all right. More of a, oh, I really should go. That's the way I felt.
A little bit naive.
Well, I don't know. Like, that's a tough one. I kind of struggled with this, Janosch and Mara and Katie. Is she being naive? Or like we can kind of make a choice on how we interpret her behavior.
Yeah,
is she being
on the beginning she seems really self-conscious and everything, but but you have to think it's late at night. She drank some alcohol as well, so it's all of that coming together, and
well,
of course she has fun with these guys. So yeah.
Well, you know what, Mara and Katie, like it. Yeah, it's especially as a middle-aged white guy, it's the I'll take that off for a second. You know what? Are we going to treat this character like an innocent and we have to worry about her? Or are we treating her like someone who has agency? And I think the way the character was drawn, the actor's choices, the directors, the script, she's the one who is, and I don't mean this as a criticism of her, but yeah, she went out to a club. She hits on the bartender. You know, it's like, are you Swedish? Do you want one? And she, you know, it could like, there's a million points where she's making choices. And yeah, like how much of that, even what are we projecting? Now, as far as the male gaze goes, I was more talking about like, yeah, literally when they talk about the male gaze, it's what's the camera doing on her, you know? And yeah, it just didn't have a creep factor. But anyway, yeah, Katie, what do you think? Mara, what do you think like, on what Katie's saying?
Yeah, I think she's looking for adventure, but in a way, but she's not sure if it's the right decision, you know?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
She's a bit naive, like Janosch said, but I think she wants that adventure in a way. So yeah, it's more like, okay, maybe I go with them, but yeah, I didn't know them really well, but I think it's not this
or at
like,
all.
Yeah, baby, it's cold outside, you know what I mean? It's more like I want to have more adventure in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Katie, want to hear from you again on this. Okay, so Richard's got a couple of comments now. Let's get them up. Okay, do you sympathize with Victoria even as she made poor decisions?
That's a good question from Richard.
Yeah. What? Well, we'll start with you guys on that. Did you guys sympathize with her?
Both. Like, of course, you sympathize with her because you have the feeling that she's going to be a victim in any part of this movie. And on the other hand, it's just, oh man, girl, why are you so naive? And just say no and stay at the cafe and do your work. So it's a little bit of both, but really good question. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mara, what did you like? Sympathize with her?
Yeah, like Janosch said, both, because you know, if she's not going with them, it wouldn't be a movie. So
yeah,
it was clear that she's going with them. But yeah, I think it's just a girl who wants some new friends, maybe because she's not from Germany. She's new in Berlin, so yeah, and maybe in that moment it was it felt right to her to go with them and have some fun, to get to know Berlin a bit better than before. But
I can imagine. Go ahead.
It's a tough one.
I personally, I would never go with them, so yeah, it was a bit of both.
You, Jim, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think
I'm doing my damnedest to save my thoughts for last.
Yeah, no. I think the key to unlocking her character and her choices and everything that comes from that is the conservation or the conservatory story that she told about, you know, being a slave to this music program and then just being sort of cast aside. So she's clearly, and this just happened, and so she's clearly come to Berlin to lose herself, to have that sort of David Bowie kind of missing year, or not on the same style, but just to just to get a €4 an hour job and just hide for a bit, maybe figure out her next move. So, and she's finding she's lonely. She's finding that she's just wanting something. And so you can sort of see the desperation there. It doesn't necessarily come across as desperation, but it informs you how she makes her decisions, I think. And and that's when I sort of, really keyed into the movie, was when I said, okay, now it's sort of taking shape. I'm understanding why she's looking for distraction and looking for something else. I mean, she's given a €4 an hour job. She's given the key to the place, which suggests, she's got a higher position, but she's still and not being paid very well. And yeah, so
I've worked in quick service. Second, here's your extra quarter.
Yeah, exactly.
Here are the keys in the safe. But yeah, you can have the shitty opening slot.
Berlin's not a cheap city to live in. I wouldn't think, unless
not as expensive as other parts of Northern Europe.
Okay.
Like I met those Italians when I was there.
Yeah.
Here.
But I just think that everything that she does is informed by the past number of years of her life, and she's just looking to maybe not stay under the radar, but just looking for something. She may not even know what it is, and that's what leads her to this. Really in her life, a 2.5 hour long chunk.
Of insanity.
Yeah.
I'm wondering.
What do you think, Rob? Now, what do you think?
Well, thank you. I do sympathize with her. Partly that's the way the story's set up. We're supposed to sympathize with her. The whole thing is designed around her. The movie's about her. It's in the title. And you'll notice that the camera, although it isn't always on her, it's always with her. Those guys leave, but she's still in the restaurant. Anytime she's alone, camera's with her. It's about her. I do have a great deal of sympathy for her. In that, like right at the beginning, it's that she's lonely, and you're right. Like all of a sudden you kind of understand why, because one of the things is, how did the Spanish woman end up in Berlin? Now, mind you, it's Europe, like a lot of, you meet Italians. I've met Italians in Berlin and in Seville. I meet Germans in London. That's the nature of Europe. To me, as a North American, I also sympathize with her in that. Yeah, like as risky as her behavior is, well, what are you going to do? Like just sit at home and continue to be lonely? But you're right, Jim. And Janosch and Mara also mentions that piano scene where you kind of understand why she got to Berlin. And I'm not sure I'm quite thinking losing herself. I think it was more, it's like, okay, I got to find myself now. I have no friends because I've been at the conservatory where all my friends were competitors. So they weren't real friends. So she was, in a way, surrounded by people, but alone then. She jumps to Berlin. It's already an adventurous person because she did that. So, of course, she's going to kind of go, well, I'll bike by him, but, maybe I'll just sort of, oh, what you doing? Oh, is that your car? Like, I think she had them pegged right from the get-go that they're sketchy AF. And so she's, yes, engaging in risky behavior. But yeah, I think you do sympathize with her. But we sympathize without, Jim, what was the movie we saw? The Rob Ford one.
Run This Town.
Thank you. We're Janosch and Mara, we saw this just to catch you guys up. This Run This Town. It's this movie about a Canadian mayor. Real guy, but the characters were kind of amalgams, mashups of real people. One of the characters was set up so you have to hate this character, and it bothered me. I felt so manipulated. Where I don't feel manipulated into sympathizing with her. I think Victoria is like, they all become sympathetic. they're treated very humanly. So I'm with them, even though they are bad choices. And I'm wondering how much of I was really struggling with this. It's why I like bringing up this. It's how much of it is me projecting my stuff onto this. Even the the tropes that especially North American film is built around and North American television is built around, that you start to say, oh, that's the way the world works. She's, and so I'm trying to give her the most room for agency, but I think that's what the film's trying to do as well. Like in the end, as it gets worse, she actually gets like somebody who can stick with piano for 16 years of her life, 16 and a half. It's like, no, I want to stay with you. Nope, I can do this. Because Sana was like, no, we'll take her back to the cafe. We'll figure this out. And she's like, nope, I'm driving. Sorry, I'm a little. Okay, Richard says thinks the piano scene helps connect to her sense of loneliness, which drove some of her decisions. Absolutely. And it's, they're young. Like you two. Younger than you guys, though, I kind of peg them at. It's the intensity of loneliness and finding someone. I get that. All right, Katie. The only smart decision she made all night was not wearing a work uniform to the bar. LOL. Which is a shout out to that the other German film we've watched on our as part of our show, Jim. Freaks. Du bist einer von uns. That's it.
Okay.
Perfect, Rob.
Oh, well, thank you. Let me show off my tourist German. Okay, okay. Oh, listen. Now, I want to ask you guys about this. And Jim, is something you said. So Vlad, 65, I believe we know who this fine young man is. A fan of ours. He's in Berlin, has some of the best rent controls in Europe. Hello, Vlad.
Hi.
Oh yeah, he's a wave.
Guys, you correct us. My understanding, the first time I went, I'm in Mitte. The place I went to every night actually was this pizzeria just down the road from Kudam 101. And it was Italians, and they're like, no, here in Berlin, hey, you want a flat in Rome, it's going to cost X number of euros. Here you can get a flat, and this, mind you, this is 2011. Prices have certainly changed, but it was just cheaper to live there. And yeah, there was the women who ran the cafe that I went to in the morning, they were Russians. Like, it just seemed to be a lot of immigrants. And then you got the Turkish guest worker, although like he was so German, Burak, played by Burak Yiğit, and I looked that up for pronunciation.
Okay.
But are we, like, from the economics of it, I could see young people, like a lot of, heck, you meet North American artists because it's like Berlin's a wild place, but it's also, relatively speaking, a cheap place to live. Am I crazy there, or is it different now? What do you guys? That's on you. The Germans in the chat.
Yeah. No. It's right. Berlin is. It has some cheap alternatives, and a friend of mine just moved there, and his rent is also very cheap for that apartment he now has. So I'm not sure exactly how the prices and everything are because I've never thought about it or read about it. But yeah, it's cheaper than Frankfurt, for example.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, at least my those Italians, Jim, didn't steer me wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's work through a few more contacts. Yes, Ahmed, she is from Spain, which is all part of that scene. Yeah, she gets up, she leaves, and yes, because the gangsters are such sexist douchebags, they'll never find her. if she gets away, which I suspect she's not. There's a child kidnapping. There's murder. There's German police. German police aren't going to go, oh, well.
So much DNA everywhere. Everywhere. She's crying and she's got the saliva, and there's hairs, and there's fingerprints on the steering wheel. And there was one brief scene where Zonin is trying to wipe off the fingerprints, when they park the car. I thought, oof, yeah, that's not nearly enough, dude.
Okay. Now Katie has come in, but going back to her sympathizing with our with the star of the flick, the eponymously titled Victoria. Katie, I don't sympathize with her, but can perhaps understand why she made the decision she did based on her life experiences. Well, there you go. Well, thank you very much for that, Katie. And that, I mean, the great things about these movies and about talking about it like this after is it's such a great opportunity to get, what we bring to the movie, because you could even think, that's awesome. Thank you, Katie. All right. If you think about all the performances, what would you like, Jim, what would you say was there a favorite of yours, or?
I think, the type of character played by Boxer always sets my teeth on edge, when you have the guy, and that was his role. Like, he was sort of almost a meth head, sort of unpredictable, but always veering towards the sort of toxic masculinity. And I was thinking it was interesting, with about 45 minutes left, he was being very physical with Victoria, so I thought, is this going to turn into a love triangle kind of situation? But so I mean, I think you need that kind of harsh character to sort of drive things. Like, come on, we got to go now. 5 minutes. But I think the guy who played Sonnen, even though these guys were,
I think it's Sauna.
Well, it's
Zonne.
Zona, a little bit more Z.
Yeah.
Zed.
But I think he, they were all horrible criminals. I don't know, like the male on Run Lola Run. They weren't very good at what they did, and we could bring this up later. I don't know what the master criminal's idea was to make these guys go rob a bank for 50,000 euros.
I have a theory.
I have a theory too. I think I know. I mean, just my theory. But anyway, these guys weren't very good at their job. They were kind of flaky. But so he's sort of straddling that line where he's having he's being a not a very law-abiding young man, for lack of a better term. But I could see him going either way. Anyway, so I think he straddled that line nicely. He was kind of the reasonable one. So I think Victoria, of course, she was up and down for 2.5 hours. She was great. And I guess my second favorite would be, there's the two main roles in the movie, but I think the guy who played Zana did a really good job as well. You could like him, even though you realized he was a bit of a flake and not very good at being a criminal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do we? I think I'll go back just quickly on the. I always took the gang. They're just petty thieves. Like, and this is like, and you kind of see that even when they're like, oh, this is, in the car going to meet the guy, the big gangster, you got one who's like, oh, it'd be cool to meet a big gangster, a real gangster, because they're obviously not gangsters. They're idiot petty crooks. Then they meet the big gangster, and you tell, like, this is the deepest thing. Zana is like, I detest, like he's pissed. They're like way in over their head. It's nothing. And I like what you said about the boxer character in that, yeah, he's that mix of, chest thumping, puffed up BS because he's really kind of weak inside. Like it's all this and no backbone. But anyway, that was more just, and I suspect it's like, yeah, I offer you protection. I want my 10 grand. And he's looking at, it's like either A, I get my 10 grand using these idiots, or if they totally F it up, well, everyone will know you still don't screw with me. You're dead one way or another. So I suspect for the big gangster, he was fine, regardless,
My take on it was that it was kind of a recruitment exercise, that if these guys managed to pull it off, that's the only thing I can think. That because they like to have probably order in their crimes rather than chaos, right?
Yeah.
So that was my alternate theory, that he was looking for new soldiers. But.
Yeah. I don't, well, heck, not a key part of the film. No. What about Mara and Janosch? What do you guys think as far as performances go, before Jim and I continue with our argument about how Berlin crime syndicates work?
Yeah,
because of our middle class, our petty bourgeois Canadian experience. Yeah,
I'm right.
Anyway, what performance-wise, what did you guys?
We talked about it right after the movie. I can't remember. Of course, Victoria and Sonne. And Sonne is a very famous German
actor.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Frederick Lau, it's his name, and he's played in a lot of movies and has a lot of movie awards. And he's just, I think even I don't know how old he is now, but he's playing a lot younger guy in this movie than he actually is. And it was so good. Like, I think in this movie,
I bought it.
He's 26 or 25. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that. And I think he's in real life, he's 34, 35 or something. So yeah, his performance was really, great.
Yeah, I think the movie wouldn't be the same if he's not playing in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he fits in. He fits in so well. Yeah.
You're absolutely right, you guys. Like, Jim, imagine. Let's say we take his performance out. It's a little weaker. Then you don't buy that she's falling for him, because that was what I was impressed with. Because he's at the beginning, he's like any other boy. You're overly confident dude in a bar, but he and even that moment again back at the piano where it's like he's having a moment where you almost see him like on a knife's edge of how is he going to interpret this? Is he going to get all, they don't play it obvious, or he doesn't play it obvious. And yeah, you kind of buy that they're into each other. And if he wasn't that strong, everything else falls. You really, then you become, why are you following him?
Yes.
You get why she does, even though, it's a terrible idea. That I would agree with Katie on 100%. She's right, like, don't you dig dog? Okay, you're not going to be assaulted, but they're criminals. It's not Peanuts bank robbery. It's Peanuts. And then maybe I should go back and pay for the peanuts.
The other thing too is that the story as old as time. I can change him.
What? I didn't get that. Oh, sorry, guys. I didn't get that vibe though. That she was like,
because
it's a fixer-upper. Pardon?
Janosch eats peanuts.
Oh, there you go. So you just the Frederick Lau of the movie we're making here. Did you know what, Mara? Did you pay for the peanuts?
Yes, of course.
Well. Okay, the Richard had a couple of entertaining moments. Okay, so he's like, first he's like, yes, referring back to she's gonna get caught. Says yes, it would be about 24 hours before the police figured out who she was.
Yes.
Like this, then we'll have to keep the continuous take going a little further. Which kind of like I'll ask you. I'll ask everyone in the chat, you guys, are we supposed to think she is going to get away with it? Or are we supposed to think what we're all thinking is, oh yeah, she's going to get busted? What do you think we're supposed to feel at the end of this movie?
I don't know, actually. To be honest, I don't know.
They have her walking away almost, in kind of silence.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, again, and we've brought this up before, it's like the last few moments of The Graduate, where the main action happened. In this case, Dustin Hoffman has stolen the Catherine Ross character, or broken her out of her wedding, and they're sitting on the bus, and they sort of say, as if to say, what's next? What do we do next? And it's a little moment of anticlimax. If she was in the right headspace to get away, she'd use that money to get the hell out of Dodge, get the hell out of Berlin. But I don't know if she would necessarily be there mentally anyway.
Well, I think we. Well, no, never mind what I think. For now, Mara and Janosch, what did you guys think? Are we supposed to sympathize with her? And then we're going to share Katie's very strong opinion on this, which is an important one. She makes a great point here. But what do you guys think? Are we supposed to sympathize with her or do we think she's supposed to get away? Not sympathize with her. Do you think we're supposed to think she got away with it? Got away with it. It wasn't like it was her heist, but that she got away free.
If we have to decide, because like I mentioned, I don't really know. Because it's a really open end, but
almost Nolan-esque.
I think yes, we would have to think she gets away.
Yeah. I'm going to, before I share my take on this, I want to love Katie's hot take on this. This is hilarious. Okay, I also don't sympathize with her because she took a frickin' baby. She took a frickin' baby.
But she didn't steal it. She left it on the street, so no worries.
He gave it back.
I only kidnapped, I was borrowing it.
Borrowing your baby.
Just borrowed the baby. Screaming mother in the background. What are you doing with my baby? That's that's awesome, Janosch. I think it was funny actually. And how much does this say about me? I was trying to figure out actually a way she could get away. At the end, it's very much okay. Well, the only ones who really know she's involved are the gangsters. She and they barely acknowledged her except as we'll hold her as a hostage. That's all they saw her as. If all she did was just, I will take the money and I will bugger off back to Madrid. Then she's got a half decent chance of getting away with it. That said, I don't know, Mara, Janosch, kind of shows my bias, the way I think Germany works. I don't see anyone getting paid under the table like cash in Germany, but maybe Berlin is a little bit wild like that. Or what do you? When I say under the table, I mean, you're just paid cash, no paperwork, no.
Yeah.
Of
course.
Okay? Oh, okay. So that's a thing that happens.
Yeah.
And she's making €4 an hour. is a good chance at that wage rate she's getting under the table like her.
Yeah, but Rob, like Jim said, what's about the DNA she left everywhere?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's great if you catch the person. The key thing there is, you have evidence if you catch her, which is why I'm kind of, and I'm not trying to get her off this like terrible night of horrible choices. Like if we saw her just getting brought to court, it'd be like, you should pay the consequences of your terrible choices. You put lives at risk. There were guns. You stole a baby.
That was actually the original title, A Terrible Night of Horrible Choices.
Oh my goodness, Vlad. Or the ending of The Candidate. Jim's comment here. The baby scene illustrated she's the only one of the group with the creativity and self-discipline, the ability to focus, to cut it as a criminal. Who knows? Victoria, too, maybe she's running her own crew for that gangster. She heads back. Here's your 10 grand. Next time, I get 90%. The other idiots, don't worry, they won't be bothered. They're all dead. Which is a horrible image. Where was I about her getting away?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was more like it's where my head went. In part because we are supposed to sympathize with her, but at the same time, I kind of the way they ended it, gives you almost a Christopher Nolan sort of, I don't know, maybe the spinning top does fall over, maybe it doesn't. Does it actually matter to the film? Did it end on the right moment? What do you guys think? Like, did it end? Is that ending a fitting ending for this film?
Yes, absolutely.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I mean, time-wise, one of the nice things about it is that you get to see the dawn come up. So I think there was the first shot, and Zana was sort of chatting in the cafe, and the sky was changing. That was the first that I noticed, and I thought, that's neat. I should mention too, we were talking about the music cuts when the piano comes up, and the first time that happens is when they're, and I'm replaying the movie in the background here, so I was just looking. When they go up the apartment block to the roof and they're getting on the elevator, their conversation fades, and the piano, sort of delicate piano music comes up. So that was the first instance. I was thinking it was the club, but that was the second that Janosch was talking about.
Well, no, actually, there was a third one too. The first one I think was actually when they're both on the bike and they leave the group and they bike ahead to the cafe to take her home.
Yeah, maybe. Did that happen?
Was where there was some piano.
Yeah.
So they leave the club, or they like she leaves the club. They follow her. Hijinks ensue. Poor Farouk is out 4 beer and a bag of peanuts.
There you go.
Then they're on the bike. So that's the touching the ass moment and not apologizing with the heart. And then Sana gives her a lift. She's riding side saddle on that classic European bike. No fancy mountain bike or big road racer here. This classic, just solid. No, I can shop. I can carry a human body.
Yeah.
Good solid German bike. But and the piano plays there.
But when they played piano in the coffee together, that was not the first time that you heard
that's right, because I think it's the bike. When they're both riding the bike to the cafe is the first time we hear the piano.
I thought it's the first, so you can... I thought the first piano scene or the appearance of a piano was in the cafe, and after that because she tells about her life, that she used to play piano and everything. So every time from that on, piano plays, you can associate to her.
Well, we're all gonna have to watch it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it was earlier,
Okay.
but now we'll obviously have to watch it again just for that cue. That's a great point, and it's a great point. The way, yeah, I get why you're thinking that, Janosch, because you're tying. It is a cue to her.
Yes.
I think it's still that cue to her. It's that first hint because it's also when they're on the bike, biking away, the camera is focused on her as she's having a moment. But that could be me remembering it incorrectly. Wouldn't be the first time. We will find out. We'll all find out. Here's now another. I like the way you Jim. I think you're the first one referred to it. They go up the elevator. You see them talking, but we don't hear them talking. They go down the elevator. You do hear them talking, and that's where she's all about. She wants to break the rules, and he's BSing her about some don't chat in an elevator. Now Richard, which reads Richard to ask, and we have experts here. Is it a German thing that you're not supposed to?
Because it's a really good and funny question because it's absolutely true. Yeah, I can be with some of my best friends, and we were talking and having fun, and then we step into the elevator, and all of a sudden everyone's silent.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's not like that. It's like that every time, but it's 100% true. It happens a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Teacher, I have some questions.
Mr. Cheboyko.
Okay.
Great question, Jim. Or great question, Richard.
I wrote down a couple phrases that they use during, and again, while we have the German experts here. So this movie has a series of movie posters. So each character, except for Foos, because he's drunk. And
I'll try and bring it up.
Passes out too early. So Boxers is, don't think I'm a bad guy, okay? And then Victoria's, we've seen, it's that you touch my ass, now say sorry with your heart. And then the one for Zana
line.
I don't
know. For
get that on a t-shirt
now.
So, and I think I wrote this down.
But it's real classy. Like just here, a tight little say sorry with your heart.
Or
maybe just that.
On the back of a pair of sweats, perhaps. But so the poster for Sauna says,
that's terrible.
And I'm totally going to mispronounce this. Are you richtig glücklich? And then he also mentions the phrase, Ben
happy.
Richtig glücklich.
Are you happy?
Is that all it is?
Yes.
That was the line. Yeah.
Okay.
Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you really happy?
Okay.
And that was in the movie. And I think, where were they? Were they?
I think they were walking. It was one of the walking scenes at one point.
Yeah.
And then he also mentions when he says, "Yeah, we're real Berlin guys. Yeah, we're real Berlin guys." And he's saying, "How do you say Zugezogenen?" It's Zugezogenen, according to the Hoopla subtitles, anyway. And he says Zugezogenen. Does that?
What? What? Can you?
Here, let me see if I can spell it in a spell it, Jim.
More?
Zuge.
One moment.
Sure.
Okay, keep going. I'm going to put it up as a caption, guys.
Zuge.
Yep.
Yeah. Zog.
Yep.
ENEN.
Okay, guys, I'm going to put this up on the screen. 1 second. It doesn't even look German to me, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a German word, but it is. And what was the?
He was talking about them being real Berlin guys. He was trying to explain how Berlin they were to Victoria.
How's it supposed to be spelled? Like, is it
Zugezogen.
Zugezogen?
Okay.
Zugezogen.
Zugetzogen. So we've got an extra Zugetzogen. So we got an extra en on this.
Yeah, incurred, drawn, consulted, contracted.
It means like it means like, you know, you're from Germany, but you're not original from Berlin. So
okay.
if I move
You're
to
not
Berlin,
local.
I'm not a real Berlin. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
from Darmstadt.
So
Yeah.
she is eine zugezogen.
Zugetzogen. Eine Zugetzogen.
If you
Sounds
move
much
to
better when you guys say it.
Toronto, if you move to Toronto,
Yeah.
you're not a Toronto guy. You're
Torontonian. Or some
Torontonian.
ridiculous nonsense. I believe that's it, isn't it? Torontonian?
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
Torontonian.
okay.
Torontonian. It's about the only time you pronounce the T.
In Winnipeg,
second T.
You say Winnipegger.
Yeah.
Winnipegger, yeah.
Yeah.
Winnipegger.
They're called
Yeah.
How do you
Demonym.
say in Edmonton?
Edmonton?
Edmontonian.
Oh, okay.
There's
Yeah.
a whole series of them.
Calgarian?
Halifax.
Calgarian?
Halifax. On the
Calgarian,
east,
yep. Oh,
Halifax
go
on the East Coast is Haligonian.
Yep.
Liverpool, as in the Beatles, is Liverpudlian. It sort of goes on.
Okay.
Sydney, Australia is a Sydney cider. That's what they call them. But there's a whole. I
Is
sort of
it,
did a little.
is it Ottawanian or?
Oh,
Ottawan.
That's a good-
I believe it's
Ottawan.
Ottawan. I believe.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
somebody in the chat may know better than, or just bring it up. Another comment I do want to, let's go back to the elevator thing quickly, that little moment. I would say, Richard, he's like, in Canada, you almost have to speak in an elevator, usually about nonsense like the weather. I think in Canada, I'm not sure I'm agreeing with Richard here. I think it's more, you get in an elevator, if you don't know any in the elevator, you turn, everyone looks the same way, so you don't have to engage anyone on either side.
Yes.
And you look up at the numbers and you wait it out.
Yeah.
But if you do know someone, you do talk to them. And yeah, it could be like, say you walk into the elevator at the office, you see someone you know, you acknowledge them, you may, there you're kind of forced with some pleasantries like nonsense about the weather because it's an elevator ride. You're not going to get into a deep thing. People who know each other, now going to your example, Janosch, you and your friends, you're chatting. You may continuing the conversation. It depends on how intimate the conversation is. You know, you're talking.
It was a little bit over the top from me to how I explained it, but it is kind of.
But yeah, it's still a
Germany,
thing. Yeah, more like a. But for Canadians, like if I was walking in an elevator with Jim, maybe we'd be silent. Maybe we wouldn't. You know, maybe we'd like it again, depending on the extent of the conversation, and heck, you're finishing an anecdote.
Would you talk to strangers in an elevator in Canada?
You don't, which is why I do.
Okay, because in Germany, it would out of 100 times it would happen once.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I
And
am.
if you are with friends, often you whisper.
You politely hold
Yeah.
so as not to make anyone else uncomfortable. Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. Now, mind you, talking to strangers in an elevator, I think, and this is where I think I don't quite agree with Richard. You go in, you look up, you wait it out. But what I have started to do is so you get into the elevator, I'll even face sideways so people are forced to engage with me because I'm that guy. I like to meet people. I don't know. I'm kind of crazy. All right. Oh, this. Richard, the Laurel and Hardy line. A lot of weather we've been having lately. Okay. So, time to plug the laptop in.
Yeah.
What? So we talked about performance. We talked about like, yeah, another great movie. Going back to cinematography briefly, just to get a little arty and pretentious about it. It was only in the darker scenes on the rooftop where I first noticed it's like, yeah, they're totally shooting this. Like, you see the video noise in the shot. It's not film grain, it's video noise. And it's only then, because I was kind of looking, that it's like, oh, that's interesting. But you're never taken out of the movie. Like, it kind of shows where if the performances are, if the story is there, if the performances are there, the cinematography, and we can hear them clearly. The sound is fine. The sound's great, actually. You still hear, like, you feel like you're in a city, even at the way they whisper, and then sometimes they're too loud and everything. I totally bought. But was there any part for you guys that took you out of the movie where you went, oh, this doesn't make sense?
Yeah, not for me. I was pretty engrossed through it. Yeah, not that I can see.
Mm-hmm. What about you guys? Any point?
No,
No.
sorry.
You're in it the whole way.
Next question.
Jim, I think we have to have Mara and Janosch back on the show.
Yes, definitely. It's that point that was it Richard had, that the baby scene illustrated she's the only one in the group with the creativity and self-discipline to cut it as a criminal. That was interesting because I made a note that the roof scene, when she's pretending to hang over the edge and she's sort of playing with him a little bit, I was sort of thinking a couple things, because it's early in the movie, you're not sure where it's going. Is this a setup? Ultimately, I don't think it was. Like, they didn't pick her. It was all organic.
Yeah.
But I thought,
like a femme fatale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was also thinking that she actually had, like, is she playing them? Does she sense that something's going down? I don't think ultimately she was, but that reminds me of Richard's comment, which was that, in the scene with the baby in the couple's apartment, Zana was kind of like, oh, it's all over. And she slaps him and she's like, get with it. Like, we've got to escape. And she's
we're doing this.
She's the one who becomes the gangster, essentially.
Yeah.
And she sort of like takes hold of the situation, and she's the one who sort of, it's her, I think it was her idea to use the baby as a prop, and then Zana jumps on too. So it was kind of an interesting turn, like,
which
she
is
was
the moment where Katie went, I no longer respect you at all.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a great point, Jim. Yeah, it is, like, well, and this is what I mean. Like, throughout the entire film, she has agency. At no time do you feel like she's just and swept. Like, she chose to go to Berlin. Mm-hmm. She got kicked out of one thing, so she's got F it. I don't have any friends here. I'll go to Berlin. She's forever making choices. You may disagree with them, but you're not watching a boring person react to the environment.
Yeah.
She does react, but in a purposeful way, and it's interesting you bring up the rooftop scene, because that's the point where we see, she's adventure. She's high risk. Or she's not high risk. She's willing. Her risk tolerance is high, as they'd say in financial planning. She'd be all about the equities. Let's get into futures. Why are we not putting out future contracts? She could be a stockbroker too. Keeps her, like, even in the way she totally lost herself when the car wasn't starting. But she was able to bring herself back down. Mm-hmm. She kept her cool in meeting with the gangsters, of all of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now I want to write Victoria too.
A couple other things. So I think you mentioned that earlier, you guys, Mara and Janosch, the Spatkauf is, what did you say? Is it the Spatty? Is that what it is for short? The liquor mart, like the late night? Okay.
Späti.
Sorry?
Späti.
Okay, there we go. So is that like a bodega would be in New York City? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I learned a new thing there too.
Yeah.
And did anyone notice the convertible Volkswagen in the background?
No.
What is that?
Oh wow! Where?
There was on one of the scenes. I only saw one Volkswagen, and it was a nice dark. I think it was like a black Volkswagen. It was right in the first.
Like we're talking a Beetle?
Yeah.
Like outside the club.
Yeah, parked.
Yeah.
And it was still dark, but it had a nice sort of a gray roof. And I thought, Volkswagen, that's German.
And the smart car and.
Yeah. But those are some of the sort of, and as we've spoken before, Rob, when you watch a foreign movie and you're not used to some of the actors and you haven't seen their tricks before, it's all new to you. So it wasn't really until we met the lead gangster that I thought, well, this guy seems like a career actor. Like he seems like a working actor. Not that he was bad, but he just sort of seemed like an actor. The others seemed, they could have easily been real people. I hadn't really seen them in anything else. As much as I try to watch other movies from other countries, I hadn't seen Frederick Lau in anything. And I think Laia Costa is doing a TV show, like a co-production currently. And the Franz Rogowski, I hadn't seen him before. So anyways, it was neat to see, I think it worked more for maybe Rob and I because we weren't familiar with these actors as well.
Well, that's interesting though. Yeah, what does that say? Like, so one of the great things, about watching film with actors you're not familiar with is if they're that good, you could say, oh, maybe they cast, sometimes, what's his name? I cannot remember the director's name, but he likes to cast unknowns and non-actors.
David Lynch?
In important roles. No. But regardless.
Sebastian.
Sebastian Schipper.
Sebastian Schipper.
Schipper. Okay, no, not necessarily. Well, obviously, this Frederick Lau, like they're all actors you guys are familiar with, which kind of shows one of the great benefits of watching films with actors you've never heard of, because you get past who they are. Like you guys. Now, I'm curious, Janosch and Mara, as you're watching this, like you said, Frederick Lau specifically. Frederick Lau, you're saying like he's a big name actor. He's a big name actor in Germany. He was doing something that wasn't necessarily like he was playing younger than he is. Did you, in a way, have to get over that, or is it when you came out of the theater were you doing the wow, that was amazing given who he is?
Yeah, it just was kind of natural. So
okay,
we didn't even think about it. I just after the movie I googled him because I wanted to know in which movies he also plays, and then I saw how old he is. So I found out like the difference and.
So he's in a way he was new to you two as well, like just by the nature when you saw it.
I've seen him before and everything, and seen him in a movie, but I was not able to mention any movies with him, so I heard of him, but not like that I know him.
Okay, so you're familiar enough with the guy, though. It wasn't like totally new to you, huh?
When you guys first saw it, did you see it in the theater, or did you see it on television, or? Okay, so was there a lot of?
At home.
Sorry.
At home on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Was there a lot of buzz about it at the time when it first came out?
Actually, a friend of ours, he recommended the movie to us, and he was like, "You have to watch it. It's great."
Yeah.
And so we watched it. We didn't hear from the movie before.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a big thing here in Germany. No.
Okay. And it's interesting. I mean, you mentioned earlier that you recommended this because, there aren't a lot of German movies that you would recommend, or their quality is sort of not as good as movies from other countries. Coming from Canada, we feel like that a lot of the times too, is that our the state of our movie industry could be a little stronger. Of course, a lot of the people go down to the States because it's right next door, and that probably waters down some of the stuff that happens up here. I mean, there are good Canadian movies, but yeah, when you have one that you can highly recommend to global friends, that's sort of a bonus. And not super common, I don't think. But
well, and it's
what do you guys?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. Ask your question, brother.
What do you guys have for movie recommendation for us that's like the same level of excitement? Maybe.
Oh, that's a great question. Listen, let's think about that. Actually, Jim, I'm going to ask you to think about it. I've got a couple of movies off the top of my head. That said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this opportunity, first of all, because I'm shameless, is for everyone in the chat watching now or watching the replay later. I'm going to ask you to like, to subscribe, and then what would be the next thing, Jim? That's right, ring the bell for notifications.
So these guys, I got to show these guys. It's a wedding bell, and it says, "Ring for a kiss."
Oh.
Well, what we want is the kiss of social media love.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Jim, what off the top of your head, as far as excitement intensity?
Excitement. Well, how do you guys feel about the watching a 3-hour...
And are you guys asking about Canadian film?
No.
Oh,
not
film.
Not actually.
Oh,
Canadian.
okay, just film.
Really?
Or if you have Canadian, yeah, for sure. Canadian.
Well,
yeah.
That's Mara. That piece. I now want to do a promo piece for us, and it'll be that moment of, really? Okay. What you know? What? Jim, you go first.
Sure.
What comes to mind?
How good is your Inuktitut? I was just going to suggest one of the movies I was thinking of. I don't think it's exciting, but Atan Arjuat, the fast runner. I was trying to get people to come along with me. This is years ago, and it was on the. I left a bunch of messages with friends. 3-hour-long movie, only in Inuktitut, which is the Inuit language. Yeah, give me a call. If you want to go. And I didn't get a lot of response, so I think I ended up going on my own, and my wife didn't want to see it either. That's a good question. Do we do exciting movies in Canada?
We do, and I put a comment up, and I'm thinking of Bon Cop, Bad Cop, or what is it? Quebecois film is more genre. And what is it? It's Bon Cop,
Bad Cop, yeah.
Bon Cop, Bad Cop, yeah, 2006. I'm gonna bring it up on my screen here in a second. So I think that one, as far as films we've seen, so Katie does though agree with your suggestion, Jim. Yeah. Oh, and there's the actual the spelling, guys. But so one of the, if you're looking for like Atan Arjuat, the fast runner, is it's kind of like, is it, can you say it's historical, Jim? Or
it's almost like not
there's a magical realism to it, isn't there? Like a timelessness sort of thing. But would it be high energy?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just point that out because it's it's quite a good movie. And like Victoria, there's full frontal male nudity, so that if you're into that. But
The Fast Runner.
Sorry, yeah, the Fast Runner. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say. I mean, there's moments. There's a little bit of chase element to it, but I mean, it is a 3-hour movie. Yeah, let me think about exciting.
Sorry about the flicker on screen. Apparently, we're getting up to 4 people on the screen at one time. It gets a little intense.
Yeah.
Bon Cop. Okay, here, let me see if I can't zoom in here. Bon Cop, Bad Cop. Francophone and an Anglophone are, have to solve a crime together. Very famous Quebecois film and genre film. Quebec filmmakers, much like French filmmakers, have no problem making genre film, and they can make very good ones. As far as, what do you think about what we've seen so far, Jim?
Well, I know,
and that flickering's irritating me. I might have a.
Sure.
I don't want to end up.
There was the zombie movie that, of course, we did a few months back called Blood
Quantum. Yeah.
And exciting like this, not so much. I mean, it's got that dreadful, and I mean that not in the sense of the word, and that is bad, but it's that feeling of dread that often comes with a zombie or a horror movie. So that would be one that's more recent, and has also the First Nations element too, which is cool. And that was a good one. I know Rob was. I really liked it. I think Rob liked it more than I did, but.
I really enjoyed it, and it's as much as it's a classic zombie film. If you're into that, it's very. You get it hits all the zombie, like gory, Romero-esque zombie beats, but it's also a very subtly Canadian political film. Now we've got a couple other
to watch.
Yeah, well, and we got a couple other recommendations in the chat. So, Le Grand Seduction.
La Grande Séduction.
Seduction. I'm saying it like I'm Spanish or something. It's not. Geez, I'm from a bilingual country. Can I deliver? No. So now this is something Richard says. Canadian movies are like our literature: isolation, big landscapes, slow moving.
Yeah.
Which would be now, mind you, there's almost like 3 different types of Canadian films. Yes, the classic, almost National Film Board influenced, film, which would be Etano Arjuat. There's also the film I can't stand of Canadian, the middle class obsession with their sexual inadequacies, which is a film I just, Canada Council sponsored navel gazing. There's also, but Quebecois films, there's just such range. Now, Richard, he does not recommend Bon Cop, Bad Cop. So I'd be taking a risk there. I say it's worth it. And then when you come back, you can say, I can't believe the junk, or what's Richard's problem? We'll find out.
There was. I just brought up sorry, go ahead, Rob.
No, you go ahead.
I just brought up a list on Wikipedia. I don't know what it's
we
based
do
on.
have a time frame. I think Jim turns into a pumpkin in about 5 minutes. So
I can hang on for a little while longer.
Yeah.
There's a list of top 10 Canadian films of all time. Not sure what it is. I just wanted some titles. So there's At an Arjuat, Mon Uncle Antoine by Claude Jutra, The Sweet Hereafter, which is about a bunch of kids that die in a school bus accident. Jesus of Montreal.
Good times.
Yeah, exactly. The YOLO, Going Down the Road, about a couple of hosers that moved to Toronto. Dead Ringers, really.
How have we not talked about, Jim?
Yeah.
Bob and Doug
Mackenzie's
Strange Brew.
Yeah. but a lot of them, so exciting, I don't think we do. We do stylish sometimes. I would argue that some of our TV shows, like I was a big fan of a show called Da Vinci's Inquest. But you
What
know,
about Hyena Road? I think it's even on Netflix.
I haven't seen that yet, which might be a good one to watch. There was a movie I saw years ago called Way Downtown, shot in Calgary, and a bunch of office workers bet each other that they can only stay inside.
The plus 15s in Calgary.
Whoever stays inside without going outside wins this bet, and it's for weeks and months. So they just use all the subterranean tunnels and walkways and stuff without going
in Calgary. Outside. Well, you've been to Calgary, Mara, right? No, when you drove.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, they have a system of overhead, like a lot of Canadian cities have some kind of system of overhead. You know, if you've got a subway getting under, like the original idea of a subway to go for a walkway under the road, the plus 15s in Calgary are the walkway to go over the road, and they connect the buildings. And because it's Canada, they're climate sealed, right? It's not like just a walkway over. It's building to building connected. You could take your jacket. Well, in Winnipeg, even you could be at one end of downtown, take your jacket off, and make your way all the way to the other end of downtown without ever having to put your jacket back on. Which at minus 30, and the wind chill on top of that is a bonus. But I want to say, like, I mean, when we say Canadian, like, it's almost a loaded. There's the Canada Council English Canada film, and then Quebec, which I just think has more variety. But what was that one, Jim, years ago? I think it was nominated for an Oscar, and it became a really big deal. And I want to say it was The Decline and Fall of the American Empire.
Yes.
Which is really a kind of weird sexual comedy of these upper middle class, petty bourgeois academics getting together at some sort of somebody's cabin. So it's so French, like Canadian French. Another good movie. Okay, we're getting way off on a bit of a tangent.
I just wanted to mention too is that when we did Road Warrior on this show a couple months back, Road Warrior, great movie, exciting, kind of
gonzo crazy.
How genre bending it was, but when I saw it as a teenager, I was blown away. I loved it, and we watched it again. It totally held up. And it's that, Canadians, or this Canadian is waiting for a Canadian Road Warrior. Like, why? Yeah. It's Australia's the same size. Why can't we make a Road Warrior movie?
Because we don't have that. We had that conversation then. Yeah. I think we need to have it again. Yeah. Perhaps not in this show, in this episode. Yeah. Okay, guys, before we get to kind of last thoughts, well, first of all, before we get to last thoughts, Jim, I'm going to hand it over to you for a quick second. Why don't you tell us about what we're going to look at next week? What's before I put it up on the screen?
Okay, you know what? I've totally.
Or would it help you to? Here, why don't I put it up on the screen? It's only a movie you've wanted to watch that we discussed not 2 nights ago.
I know. It caught me. The whole morning thing threw me off. It's the. True history of the Kelly gang, based on Ned Kelly, the sort of I guess, Billy the Kid of Australia, and it's based on the novel. Something I've been looking forward to for a long time, and it's just come out on Netflix, and to I think it was in the top 10 last weekend. So, it stars one half of the 1917 guys there. So. It looks pretty trippy from watching the trailer. I've been wanting to see this for a while.
Yeah. Well, and so that's what we'll be watching next week, folks. And for just so everyone's aware, we'll be going back to our Sunday evening time of 9:30 So that's Sunday evening, 9:30 Central Standard Time. -5, the UTC offset would be -5. So there you go on that. Yeah, guys, final thoughts. This is their lightning round. And final thoughts, and is it worth watching? Although I suspect the last hour and a half has kind of told us exactly what we all think. But still, you know what? I'll go. Actually, I'll start it off. You know what? And we'll end with our company. But yeah, I think it was a great film. Definitely worth your time watching. And you can see in the chat, there's enough. What really is just an episode can generate a lot of. There's actually a lot of meat in what, at first blush, is just literally a 2-hour episode in a woman's life. She went out to the club. She got home late in the dawn, yeah. So I think it's worth your time. What do you think, Jim? Last thoughts, and is it worth people's time?
Absolutely, yeah. If only as well to watch something from another country, but yeah, it was fantastic. Really good recommendation, Janosch and Mara. Thank you for that. Yeah, I remember when it first came out. There was a little bit of press.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just a little, because it's the one take thing, and it feels hard to believe that was 5 years ago or 4 years ago, I guess, if it took its time getting over here. But great movie. Would like to watch sort of more of this genre. Nice to see Berlin again, and yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll finish on this part with you guys before we kind of go to the outro. What I will do is, once we go past the outro, stick with us, even though we'll be finished on our live part for our wonderful folks out there. Stick around. But yes, what are your last thoughts, and is it worth it for our several viewers? Listen, this might be seen upwards of 50 people. It does happen on occasion.
Sorry, Rob.
Go ahead.
It's really worth it. Yeah, I think.
Of course,
it's really
you said everything already. So great movie. It's different movie from general movie that or like the one take aspect's really cool. And great that you liked it.
Yeah. Well, it was. Thanks for recommending it. I you know what, Jim, would you agree? We'd love to see Janosch and Mara back on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we won't expect you to recommend as amazing a film as this, but we would really like that. But yeah, we'll love to have you back. Listen, let's just kind of catch up with our folks. First of all, Katie is recommending Schitt's Creek. It's a television show. Recently won a mess of Emmys. Katie. Now, of course, she's recommending it, but she hasn't seen it. Haven't seen it, but I've heard the show Schitt's Creek is very good. It won a bunch of Emmys. So you take that recommendation, for what it's worth. Thanks very much, Katie. And then Richard does a great movie. Thanks for recommending Janosch and Mara.
You're welcome, Richard.
Yeah. I love the spelling. Okay, folks. Anyone, and you know what? I'll also take this opportunity. Ahmed, thanks for popping in. Vlad, thank you for chiming in. That random person on Twitch who says he can make us all famous. Keep in touch. We all want to be famous.
Thanks for bringing us on the show, Rob.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You know what? Thank you for coming on the show. This
Jim
is
also.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to meet you, and it was nice to keep in touch across the pond there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought, who else? So I don't think I missed anyone else. Oh, Shashank. I know you'll make it to the end when you do pick this episode up. I will say hello to you and thank you for watching. Everyone out there, thanks so much for watching. If you got suggestions for movies that you think we should be taking a deeper dive on, please mention in the chat. I'm also going to shamelessly take advantage of my time now to up here. There'll be a card. please watch my some folks may not want to watch a 90-minute hot take on a 90-minute film. They're crazy people, but for that, Jim and I, what I've started doing is creating the short version, which is a 1 minute. We boil the whole film right down to, hey, who's in it? What's it about? Is it worth your time? And my ideological ingredients list. I got to come up with a better pitchable name. So anyway, guys, would you agree it's time to fade our music out and bring up the outro?
Happy birthday, Richard.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
happy birthday, Richard. Okay, with that in mind, I'm going to pull this down and I'm cueing the outro.
I've been